Transport Minister Dipuo Peters is today expected to give a report back on road safety trends in December so far. Let's cross live to that briefing.
And environmental factors, which accounts for 37.8% being wet and slippery roads, and 16.2% being poor visibility, 10.8% being stray or wild animals, and 8.1% being very poor lighting. Issues of vehicle factors, which is the 8%. The vehicle roadworthiness factors, which accounts for 8%, comprises of 40% being tire burst prior to a crash, 26.7% being faulty brakes, 6.7% faulty steering, and other 6.7% being headlights not switched on, and another 10% being bicycles without rear reflectors. The 82% human factors, which is a worrying human behavioral pattern that continues unabated, is the tendency to ignore the call for road safety by road users. Surprisingly, pedestrians, jaywalking accounts for 30.7%. Speed account for 15.2%. Hit and run accounting for 10.2%. And overtaking facing oncoming vehicles, 7.6%. Ladies and gentlemen, we claim no easy victories, and we will tell no lies in confronting the scourge of road carnages underpinned by lawlessness and recalcitrant attitude of some of our road users. We have to do everything in our might to deal with the male stubborn and chauvinistic attitude, as males account for 78.4% fatalities and 89.4% being black. We have equally noticed a very disturbing trend relating to female road user behavior. Females account for 21.1% of the total percentage of our fatalities. We have to deal decisively with this phenomenon and investigate the causal factors of this unfortunate trend where we're losing the flowers of our nation. We are at pains to accept the harsh realities of those who have prematurely succumbed to road fatalities and their lives cut short by some rogue elements in our communities who have no regard for human life. It cannot and it should not be that 39.2% of the total fatalities, is passengers who place their trust in the hands of drivers and yet never reached their destination. Pedestrians account for 34.3% of the total number of fatalities, and surely their lives were cut short by motorists who are always not vigilant and caring. Some of the pedestrians who perished contributed by their own negligence, as they were found to be jaywalking while under the influence of alcohol. Pedestrians have a responsibility to use the road safely and not to drink and walk, even in the middle of the night, without visible clothes. Drivers largely contribute 23.8% of the road fatalities. Some of those drivers were innocent and responsible road users and were made to lose their lives prematurely by those who flagrantly flouted the rules of the road. Some of the deceased drivers were the major cause of these avoidable road crashes, as they deliberately overtook on barrier lines, overtook on blind spots, were traveling at high speed, were under the influence of liquor, while some were fatigued and never cared to just stop for a moment. There are 684 fatal crashes recorded since the 1st to the 19th of December 2016. Nationally, there's an increase of 16% in comparison to the previous year, same period. The following provinces have recorded an increase on absolute crash figures. KwaZulu-Natal increased by 32, Limpopo 28, Mpumalanga 6, Northwest 9, Gauteng 3, and Free State 2. The Northern Cape has recorded a decrease of 4 in absolute crash figures, with Eastern Cape and the Western Cape stabilizing at the same figure of 82 in the Eastern Cape and 54 in the Western Cape as compared to the same period last year. Unapologetically and steadfastly, I have deemed it necessary to urgently convene a meeting with all traffic chiefs and regional directors of provinces with high fatalities to engage and robustly confront the prevailing situation with a view of finding solutions and interventions to reduce these carnages and fatalities. Some of the gaps that have been identified is the weakness in monitoring and enforcing the implementation of the 24/7 law enforcement operations. We've also identified an emerging and disturbing trend where our law enforcers are not hard enough on unroadworthy vehicles by not discontinuing and impounding such vehicles. The other matter is the inclement weather, in particular rainy days and wet surfaces, which seems to have exacerbated our plight and accounted for a sizable number of road fatalities and crashes. Ladies and gentlemen, there are 845 fatalities recorded since the 1st to the 19th of December 2016, with an increase of 17% in comparison to the previous year, same period. The following provinces have recorded an increase on absolute fatality figures: Limpopo 63, Mpumalanga 44, KwaZulu-Natal 31, Free State 17, Northwest 6. The following provinces has recorded a decrease in absolute figures. The Eastern Cape has decreased by 31, Western Cape 2, Northern Cape 2, and Gauteng 4. These 4 provinces have stuck to the letter and spirit of our strategy. Their good work cannot go unnoticed. We want to acknowledge and appreciate particularly the Eastern Cape for the sterling work they have done in reducing the number of fatalities. We also commend Gauteng Province on the arrest of 2,509 drunken drivers who are the main causes of crashes. I will further engage with my counterparts in all provinces to consider extending overtime payment for the remainder of the festive season, as well as to ensure that our law enforcement officers are provided with appropriate tools of trade, such as vehicles. This mid-festive season preliminary fatality rates figures is meant to review our performance, take corrective measures, and intensify our visibility, strengthen operations as well as road safety awareness campaigns in our endeavor to reduce crashes, to reduce fatalities and reduce injuries in line with our commitment to implement the United Nations Decade of Action for Road Safety. As the Department of Transport, we continue our engagements with the Department of Justice to introduce minimum sentences for negligent and reckless driving. We are seeking to reclassify drunken driving from a Schedule 3, which is less severe, to a more severe Schedule 5 offense to ensure those who negligently cause crashes on the roads do not get bail easily and spend time behind bars. In fact, in the SADC region, Swaziland has already introduced this. Our vitally important journey towards achieving uncompromised and dependable safety on our roads is shared, and we all need to play our role by behaving and demonstrating responsible, patriotic, and compassionate behavior as citizens. We call upon the media, the faith-based organizations, our NGOs, our community-based organizations, the youth, and all strata of society to partner with government in ensuring that collectively we mobilize, educate, pray, and plead with our communities to take care of their own lives. One death is one death too many. Abraham Lincoln said, and I quote, "You cannot escape the responsibility of tomorrow by evading it today," close quote. And former President Thabo Mbeki taught us that, and I quote, Gloom and despondency have never defeated adversity. Trying times need courage and resilience. Our strength as a people is not tested during the best of times, close quotes. These are real trying times for us in the traffic law enforcement fraternity. We need everyone to accept that roads are shared spaces and that road safety is everybody's responsibility. Thank you very much.